So it's a 1987 Kawasaki JS550.
Not. We might. Oh.
Like you could put a nice 40 of beer inside there. Everybody, it's Adam again. We're up at the lake this weekend, and I want to introduce to you my 1987 JS550 Kawasaki stand-up jet ski. We'll give a lot of background on this here in a little bit, but I want to see if I can get it running here before it gets too dark out tonight. That way I know whether or not I got to do a bunch of work this weekend to get it running. But basically it's been sitting since put it away last winter, and basically sitting outside. I keep it covered up usually, but take the cover off when we go down the road. We're going to start out by putting the battery in it, and we just got some fresh fuel in it, at least topped it off at the gas station before we got here. It does have some old fuel in it from last summer, so we'll see if she starts right up. If she doesn't, we'll figure out how to get it running here just right. If she does, we'll take it for a little cruise tonight and hopefully enjoy it the rest of the weekend here. Enjoy!
You can hear my beautiful wife talking in the video right now, can't you? She's a beaut, just like this jet ski.
Great, we got the battery hooked up in there. We're going to go ahead and put the key on, crank her over for the first time this year, and see if she starts up.
Starter solenoid isn't cooperating here, so what we're going to do is just jump her directly to the starter, make sure at least she'll turn over with the battery. If not, we might, oh, we got a lot of power there. If not, we may just have to charge the battery overnight and see what happens tomorrow. Plenty of battery power there, so that solenoid must be dirty up inside there. We'll see if we can get her to start just this way. Well, she starts up, that's good. Kill switch works. Might need to clean up that starter solenoid in there, but seems like she'll start up just fine. Of course. Something that worked fine last year doesn't work now.
So it appears, as she was sitting over the winter here, that the starter solenoid inside here has gone bad. You can hear the click, but there's no voltage going across it, so those contacts are probably corroded. We'll see if we can take that apart. I think these are pretty well integrated in there, so I might need to figure out something else. I mean, runs, as you can see, when I jumper the positive battery cable right to the starter, it'll start right up and shut down as expected. So that starter solenoid's bad in there. It looks like we won't be riding tonight, but hopefully this is something we'll be able to fix quickly. Here we are on day 2. I did a lot of thinking last night and a little bit of looking online. Looks like that starter solenoid is actually replaceable pretty easily on there. And I looked back at my old pictures from when I repaired something else in the ebox there, and I can see clearly what that solenoid looks like. So we're going to end up buying a replacement of that. But sometimes in the morning, when there's a little more moisture in the air, we get some action out of the solenoid, but it's still clicking right now. So So the solenoid's actually engaging the starter a little bit now. Still not to the point of where the starter will actually turn over. So yeah, it looks like we've got some life out of that solenoid. We're gonna have to pull the choke here to see if we get her to start up on her own. It's a good sign. Maybe we'll be able to take it out today, but I still got to replace that solenoid. Don't want to get stuck out in the middle of the lake. Okay, now for a little history on the jet ski. Ended up putting a post on Facebook back in 2014 or so saying I really want a stand-up jet ski because I saw some guys riding them up north at my uncle's cottage, and one of my buddies back home said, hey, I've got one that's taken apart in my backyard, hasn't run in a couple years. Thought that they blew the head gasket on it and basically had the motor apart and had a melted piston. And I said, how much you want for it? He said, well, trade me a 6-pack of beer. So mind you, the motor was out of it. Everything was taken apart underneath here. Got a 6-pack of Michigan's Best Oberon. Traded him for it. He gave me the title and I brought it home. Worked on it that winter, that spring, and basically had the block sent out to a place in Oregon. The guy machined it with the new pistons that I got. They're basically 0.5 millimeter oversized pistons, and he machined up the block for me out there. It came with a copper gasket for higher compression. I think this is a Mariner head on here. It's a higher compression head. Tried out the copper gasket for a season and could never get it to seal properly. So rather than burning up the new motor, I went ahead and I put an OEM organic gasket in there. Still higher compression though. I run 93 octane, regular 2-stroke. But basically she's got pretty good power for only being a 550cc. Last summer when I took it out, I had a problem with the electronics staying alive in there, which it would act like it with a kill switch or something was going on with the carb. I'd get up for anywhere from 5 seconds to 5 minutes and it would just flat out die. So I ended up diagnosing that back to the kill switch solenoid in here, and I bypassed that. So the stop switch still works, you just have to hold it down. Otherwise that kill switch solenoid, the kill switch coil in there, allows you just to tap this and it'll shut down the engine. Something else worth mentioning up here on the handlebar side of things, put an aftermarket stop switch on there that allows you to use a lanyard. From the factory, these did not have a lanyard on them, so you'd have to hit the kill switch to turn it off. If you fell down on this out in the water, it would basically idle back around to you, but this is a good upgrade, especially if you fall off of these frequently. Just some aftermarket grips that I got on eBay, and also basically close to a straight bar on here, and a quick turn steering linkage on there as well. I've got both of those on eBay. But basically, you know, for a bigger guy like myself, it helps to pull my weight forward a little bit by having the handlebar straighter out as opposed to hanging off back here, the OEM side. And that quick turn just helps make it more responsive. You know, if you're trying to correct to keep from falling off or making some turns, doing some maneuvers, it helps make it a lot easier to handle. There's the captain's view right there. We're gonna give it a shot here. It starts about 25% of the time, which is good enough for me. So if I fall down out in the water, 25% of the time it's gonna be able to take me back in. The other 75% of the time I'm gonna have to swim back in. We're gonna fix that relay at some point, but wanna take it out on the lake, make sure nothing else is wrong today. And if something is, then we'll have to just buy more parts and throw more parts at it. That's fine. Got my sunglasses. Success! All right, so since the old ski decided to surprise us this morning and it ran, took it out for a ride. Everything's really running great on it, except for that starter solenoid. So we're still gonna take it up tonight. We'll replace that starter solenoid on there so we don't get stranded out in the middle of the water. One other thing before we get it back on the trailer, and I noticed this when I got it from my buddy. We had a little crack down here in the hull. But over the course of my 250-pound body riding this thing and beating it on the waves the last 8 years, this crack propagated down a little bit more here. So I ended up finding some of these brackets on eBay, put those on there, and it's held up really good ever since. Someday we'll redo the fiberglass underneath there, reinforce it. Maybe I'll repaint it someday. Maybe I'll keep the sort of rat rod motif that I've got going with all my other cars with this. Okay, now we got her up on the trailer. Here is the aftermarket ride plate. So it's a little bit longer, and having that extra length on the back here just helps with the stability and planing out, helps with porpoising as well, which is good for someone my size. Looking at the intake grate, so that's actually the OEM intake grate there. I don't have my Mariner scoop on it right now. One thing I do notice is I can get a little better air when the waves are right with this intake grate. The other one with the scoop helps hook up and helps keep it stable and on the water, but I guess I kind of like getting a little bit air a little bit better. Something planned for the future. I've got an aftermarket prop. We'll show that back at home. We'll be putting that on. I'll make a video about that in the future. Yeah, so that's the underside of the ski here. Something else to note is it's got the control panel door delete option. Actually, one winter I was sitting outside, I had to get under the hood, had a little bit of ice built up in there, and I pulled it back and it managed just to snap off at the living hinge down there. I don't think I'm going to replace that. I think we're just going to leave it as it is. Something I've been tempted to try with the old fire extinguisher port here is, you know, I feel like you could put a nice 40 of beer inside there, or at least a tall boy, and you know, take that across the lake to the other side of the beach and enjoy a tall boy. I don't know though how that would fly with the Coast Guard if they found that you didn't have a fire extinguisher on there, but That's a pretty nice location for stashing away a little booze if you ever feel like it. So that's going to do it for this week's video. Hopefully you enjoyed meeting the JS550. One of the next mods we're going to do this, or we're actually going to work on that starter solenoid, get that working good. Later on, probably not this summer, but next summer I'm going to put on that aftermarket prop and see how that works with that scoop intake rate on it as well at home. So if you like the jet ski content, or if you like anything else, BMW content, the Sonoma or the Subaru content on the channel, go ahead and hit subscribe down below. Leave a comment on what your favorite thing is so far, and we'll work on getting more content on that for the future. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks.